Hey guys, and welcome back to your one room schoolhouse. If you are new here, my name is Mary Barfield and I am a homeschooling mama to a current kindergartner and second grader. And this video is going to be one that was highly requested by quite a few of you. I have just released my curriculum picks for next school year, for the school year 2025 to 2026 for my rising first grader and third grader. And a lot of you seem to really enjoy and like a lot of my curriculum picks. But since I customize a lot of what we're doing, quite a few of you did request, hey, can you tell us how you're planning to schedule that out over the school year? I know some of you even asked for me to share the document, which I will, by the way, down below in the description box. I'm going to share a document that you can copy and paste into your own computer document and then edit, for your own purposes, because I think a lot of you were interested in following something similar to what I'm doing. So that's this video. We're going to go over how I plan to organize and plan all that curriculum for the full year next year. Now, if you haven't seen those curriculum pick videos, I feel like it'd probably be helpful for you to watch those first before you watch this, because if you haven't, you don't know what we're going to be doing next year. So I'll link that playlist up above and down below in the description box for y'all if you want to go check that out. Pause here and then come back once you've watched all of those videos. But for those of you that have already watched those curriculum pick videos, let's get into it. So real quick, I'm going to turn the camera around here in a moment so you can actually look at the schedule, but I just wanted to kind of highlight some information, tell you a little bit about how I do the planning before we hop into what the actual calendar or schedule looks like for you guys. So you'll see here, I have actually three sheets. Just want to make sure I printed it correctly. 1, 2, and 3. And they're back and front. And each one represents one term of next year. Now, we are what I would call like a Charlotte Mason eclectic family. We do a lot of different or follow a lot of different educational philosophies, but I would say the bulk of what we do is Charlotte Mason in respect to that. So
I found this on the web.
All right, Siri. My Siri's a British man, I think, is what I picked for the voice. But where was I? Oh, yes. Okay, so back to scheduling. Siri always gets me all flustered. But so what we do is the way we schedule our entire year is we do 3 terms, each being 12 weeks, and that adds up to 36 weeks for the entire school year. So each one of these pages is one 12-week term. And the way I do it is I actually got this from Ambleside Online because all their schedules are for free to download for each of their years. If you're not familiar with them, they're a Charlotte Mason basically free curriculum that you can pull off their website. I'll link their website down below for you. But what I did was I downloaded the editable schedule. I think it was for both Ambleside Online year 1 and year 2. And then what I do is I edit it because they allow you to do that, right? And I pull out anything we're not going to do from them. And then I insert all of my own curriculum because I just love the way the format is. I'll show you, you'll get a better peek when I flip the camera around of how it looks. But I just love the format. So the front part is all of our group subjects for the term, and it spills over just a teensy bit at the top here. And then the bottom part is individual subjects for both of my girls, or like what I would call our core subjects, math, language arts, things that they cannot do together. Even though they're 2 years apart, they're not on the same wavelength when it comes to their language arts and their math. There's also some electives that my oldest daughter is going to be doing that's different from my youngest daughter. So those are those individual core subjects, I guess is the best way to explain it. And this is the first 12 weeks of next year. That's it. And then all the subsequent pages that we have. So with that being said, I'm going to flip this camera around and show you an close view of the schedule. I'll explain why I picked everything, how I scheduled it. Hopefully this won't be too terribly long. Y'all know I can get super long-winded because I love sharing all things homeschooling and talk to you guys about everything, but I will try and be cognizant of the time. But without further ado, let me stop rambling and let's get into the actual schedule for you. All right, y'all. So here is a quick look at the schedule. I'm going to do just a review of how I've set it up. I know I kind of just talked about that, but I want to show you now that you have a close-up view of it. So here again at the top, I have family subjects listed. We have term 1, the weeks that term 1 is, and then down the side we have all the subjects grouped together. We have week 1 through 12 at the top. If you scroll down on the back side of the front page, you will see that we also have a rubric for individual subjects. Again, week 1 through 12 for term 1. If we scroll down to the third page, which starts the second page if you print them double-sided, we have term 2, which is weeks 13 through 24, same setup, family subjects in this first grid. And then the grid that's on the back, the second one, is the individual subjects for my daughters, the core subjects. And then if you scroll down to page 5, I forgot what page we were on, same thing, just term 3, weeks 25 to 36. And then on the back, you have the individual subjects for term 3. All right, so I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top and try not to make you guys nauseous. That wasn't too bad, was that? So just doing a quick highlight, I'm going to use term 1 mostly to explain how we are scheduling it out. And I'll go back through term 2, term 3 in a closer view, but I won't be as in-depth about the detail around it. So as I said, in order to get this formatting, what I did was I went to Ambleside Online. I downloaded Ambleside Online Year 1 and Year 2 of these grids, and I deleted everything that we weren't using. And then I used one of them as my main file, I guess, to say, and then I copied and pasted. I think I used Ambleside Year 2, and then I copied and pasted the rows from Ambleside Year 1 that we were using. So looking at the top, you'll see we grouped U.S. history together. And the first row is an island story. This is the Year 2 Ambleside Online schedule. So I just copied and pasted that as is, and I left it alone. For American Girl history, we are doing 3 girls. We are doing Felicity our first term. And so what I did was I broke up her 4-week schedule that Little School of Smiths recommends doing, and I broke it up over the 12 weeks. So that meant that we're doing week 1 over 3 weeks, week 2 over 3 weeks, and so on and so forth. Doing it this way, heavily spread out, will allow us to really enjoy our time with American Girl, deep dive, not feel like we're rushed trying to get it all done. And it allows us to just do it 2 times a week for like 20 to 30 minutes at most. So that I think will be perfect for our schedule. Next, you'll see that we are doing the Delore biographies recommended for the Year 1 schedule from Ambleside Online. And also, I'm going to start saying AO for shorthand when I'm saying Ambleside Online, just to save my voice a little bit, because I am starting to get sick a little bit. So if you hear me say AO, that means Ambleside Online. Now, these are from the Year 1 schedule, but I did not copy and paste them into the weeks that they have scheduled. Instead, what I did was I looked at our American Girl history and I determined where would Benjamin Franklin best fit in based on his time frame. Same with George Washington, and then Buffalo Bill for term 3. Now, frankly, Benjamin Franklin should have probably been introduced before Felicity based on when he lived and when Felicity is being, her story is happening in the timeline of history. But just for the sake of ease, I went ahead and scheduled him to be read over week 2 for Felicity. It is a picture book for Benjamin Franklin. We are going to read it once over, each week between week 4 and 6, maybe for 10 minutes. It'll be a quick read, just an addition to Felicity. George Washington was easier to place in the schedule because Felicity's 4th week is literally all about George Washington. So that made so much sense to spread his biography over the last 3 weeks of term 1. Sorry guys, just so you know, I might have to edit out some of my coughing because I am starting to cough. My kids are sick and I think I finally caught the bug. So if this is heavily edited, that's why, just so you know, I'm trying to save y'all's ears from listening to me cough. But let's talk about world history now. So Story of the World, Volume 1, Ancients, is our main spine/curriculum for this. And this curriculum has 42 chapters. And we do a 36-week school year, so I couldn't schedule it out as easily as just saying 1 chapter per week. But it's not too much that I have to double up with. Basically, each term, there might be 2 or 3 weeks where I have to read 2 chapters. But the rest of them, I basically just do 1 chapter. And I decided which ones to double up on based on how many pages we would have to read and the activities, etc. So there might be a better way to schedule out Story of the World out there on the internet, but this is how I did it. So I'll tell you if it works for us or not later on. To accompany this, we are also going to be incorporating biographies and tales. So this is from a mix of different places, from Build Your Library, from Well Trained Mind, and then I think that's it actually. Maybe it's just those 2. Maybe there was one from Ambleside Online. I cannot remember. But The ones from Build Your Library, I'm using the level 1 curriculum because I purchased that. And what I did was any of the books that we're reading from there, I pulled out her schedule. I'll show this in a later video when I get into more of our planning week to week. But I created my own little like mini literature guide curriculum from Build Your Library level 1. I'm using all of her vocabulary, the narration questions, the copy work from these books. So The Golden Bull is one of those books that we are pulling from Build Your Library and following her literature guide with it. Then, and I scheduled that based on in the timing of history when Story of the World would be talking about this. And then we will also be doing Magic Treehouse, number 3, Mummies, as well as the research guide. So we'll read the first one the first week, and then the second week we'll read the research guide over the week. These are really short, simple books that you can read quickly over a week easily. This was a recommendation from the Well-Trained Mind Story of the World book. We will also be bringing in the Gilgamesh picture book trilogy. All 3 of them are at my library, thankfully, so we'll just read those spread out over weeks 7 through 8 because that lines up with the information and timeline being discussed in chapter 7 through 9 with Story of the World. And then we'll bring in King Tut for chapter 13 of Story of the World. Again, recommendation through the Well-Trained Mind. Along with world history, we are going to be reading Dolores' Book of Greek Myths. And again, it has just over 36 stories, so we can't just do one per week. So every other week we'll have to do like 2 of the Greek myths, but not that often. So essentially I just put here, just read 1 or 2 per week. If it's a heavy week, we'll just do 1. If it's a really heavy week, we won't read any. And then the next week we'll read 2. So it's not really set in stone. It's going to be based on how our weeks are going. And then I just have a little notation here to remember to always do our timeline for the week and any map work that goes along with our history streams. Next up, I have geography, and this is, again, copied and pasted straight from Ambleside Online Year 2. So we are going to read Treeing the Trail. This is the schedule as set by AO Year 2. And then down below we have science, and we are going to be doing The Good and the Beautiful, Little Hearts and Hands. We're going to be doing 3 of them. So the first term we're going to be doing Field and Flowers. There's just over enough, again, when I'm dividing it by 12 weeks, where it's a little more than 2 lessons we have to do every week to complete it in the first term. But most weeks we'll just do 2, and every few weeks we'll have to throw in a 3rd lesson if we just want to complete it within this first term. And then for nature study, we are following the Ambleside Online like yearly schedule that all years do. So for the first term, we're going to be doing reptiles. That's the subject. We'll do 1 object lesson for maybe 15 minutes a week. I've created my own curriculum, which I'm putting the fine details on. It's very simplified. It's super simple. Like I don't want this to be an overcomplicated thing. But that's just reminding me to just schedule that once a week into my weekly planner. Then for nature lore, we're going to be doing Burgess Bird as well as James Harriet Treasury. And again, I just copied and pasted these 2 rows. The schedule from AO Year 1, super simple. But the great part about this is there's no tie of Jenny Wren to like what's going on the rest of the week. So if we're having a really heavy week, I can move this to the next week if necessary. So we can be super flexible with this, but I'm going to attempt to just follow the schedule that AO Year 1 put forth. And then we have our literature selections. So we're going to be following the schedule for term 1 from AO Year 2, Understood Betsy. We'll complete that in the first term. We're also going to be following the Shakespeare schedule for AO Year 2. So we'll be reading 2 stories, 2 of the plays per term. So the first term is Gentlemen of Verona and Romeo and Juliet. Again, there's nothing tying these to these specific weeks they're scheduled in. So if we need to move them around, we totally can. This is very flexible. And then again, the same thing with Just So Stories, which is from AO Year 1 schedule. We can easily move these around. Nothing crazy. You know, we don't have to do it week 1 for the whale story. If we need to, we can move it. Then we have foreign language, which we are going to do every day for 10 minutes a day. And we're doing that through Homeschool Languages Spanish. And just again, we'll just schedule that 5 times a week, 10 minutes a day, and it's super simple. And it's an easy way for us to get our language in consistently. Then for poetry, I purchased the Ambleside Online Year 1 anthology book from Amazon to make it easy for me. That's just, again, same as Spanish, 1 poem a day that maybe will take 1 to 2 minutes. This is like really simple things here that we're going to put into our morning basket and put it on a rotation. And then the rest of these subjects at the bottom are what I would consider all of our morning time basket, whatever you want to call it, subjects that, again, we'll put on kind of like a loop, a rotation. So we're going to be reading the Jesus Storybook Bible. So my kids understand the stories from the Bible. So we'll do 1 to 2 stories per week. Again, it's one of those that it's a little more than 36, so I couldn't just schedule 1 story a week. So some weeks I'll have to do a second story to keep on schedule, but that's not a big deal. They're super short and simple. We'll be following the artist study as well as the composer study schedule for AO's annual year that everybody does. So for the first term, we are studying Camille Pissarro. And so we do 6 works from the artist. That means 1 per 2 weeks. So the first week, we will study the painting. We'll just learn about it. We'll gaze at it. It maybe takes 5 minutes. The next week, that takes a little longer. We will try and recreate the artwork that we've been studying. And then so on and so forth, alternating every other. So that's why I say 1, 2. It's like the first painting, the second painting, etc. Next up, we have handcrafts, which we're going to do paper sloyd for the first term. We'll just follow that. It has 13 paper sloyd crafts, so we'll do 1 every week. Maybe the last week we'll do 2 just for fun. And then for the composer, same thing with the artist study. We only have 6 scores from that composer. So we're learning about Delius, Frederick Delius, the first term. And there's nothing for us to recreate. So just the first 2, like the 2 weeks that we're going over the music, we'll just listen to it again the second week as we're doing like our handicraft or something. And then we are following the folk song schedule for AO's annual year that everybody does. The only thing we've changed or edited is that they provide a folk song for each month, but their months start in September with the 3 ravens. We start our school year end of July, beginning of August, so there's nothing for August. So I added in Star Spangled Banner because my kids don't know it, and I think it's probably important to know as an American. So that's what we're going to be doing for our first folk song. And then this is something different that I added in. By the way, there's a few tweaks I made since I posted my curriculum picks. We are going to add in art from The Good and the Beautiful. I really like their draw series. There's 5 levels, and it's antique hand drawing, and they escalate in the way that they're challenging each level. So we're going to start level 1 next year, and we're going to do 1 to 2 per week because my girls really like drawing, and I think that'll be really helpful and it'll help enhance their skills. Then if you go down to individual subjects, this grid is the exact same in each of the terms, so I'm not going to go over it each time when we go down to term 2 and term 3. So here we have math. Right now, I haven't mentioned this, I don't think yet, but my oldest daughter kind of my youngest daughter hit a wall with Math Mammoth. So she is way ahead for her math. She is halfway through math grade 1 for Math Mammoth, and she doesn't turn 6 until the end of August. So she's really young for her grade for kindergarten. On top of that, she's a year ahead for her math. So I think maturity level, she's just not there anymore. But I'm also kind of starting to realize mastery-based math may not be the best for her. I haven't really confirmed that yet, but I'm having a sneaky suspicion. So what I did to kind of let her take a break but not stop math was I printed off The Good and the Beautiful Math 1 for her right now to work on, just to kind of tide her over. And she's doing really well with it. I really like Math Mammoth, so I would like to go back to it if it makes sense. But frankly, I'm also really enjoying The Good and the Beautiful Math with her. So we might stick with that. I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on that one. But as of right now, that's going the best. So I have The Good and the Beautiful Math 2 for my youngest daughter for next year. And then I have Math Mammoth 3 listed for my oldest because she is killing it with Math Mammoth. So we're not changing anything there. Then if you come down here, we have handwriting and copy work. My oldest is going to be doing level 5 because she already has really solidified her cursive handwriting. So we're going to pick up at level 5 for her with The Good and the Beautiful. My youngest is finishing up level K with The Good and the Beautiful. So we'll just move her over to level 1 once that finishes up. And then copy work. So if we're reading one of those books that I pulled from Build Your Library, we'll follow her copywork schedule at that time. But if we're not and we're reading another book from like Well Trained Mind or Ambleside Online, I'll just go ahead and have the girls do copywork. I've decided 3 times a week, just like Build Your Library does, to keep consistency. But also at this young age, they get really tired out from writing, and I don't want them to lose that. I don't want them to get frustrated, essentially. So we're going to stick, instead of doing it every day, we're going to do it just 3 times a week. After that, then we have language arts from The Good and the Beautiful. My youngest will be moving on to level 1 for next year. My oldest level 3. Something else I've added in since I did my curriculum picks, I think we're going to add in mind benders from the Critical Thinking Company. But this isn't something I'm going to be so hyper focused on scheduling. It's more to bring it in maybe once or twice a week as needed for independent work, because I am juggling 2 children. Sometimes it's nice for them to have something to work on that they don't need me for. And I printed off the samples for their individual levels, and the girls had so much fun with the problem they did. They're like, oh my gosh, can we get this now? So I might go ahead and print that off. I don't know. We'll see. I got to go purchase them because they have PDF ones that I can print off. But that, I put on there once a week, but I have a feeling we'll be doing it more as needed just for independent work. But also it's really good for critical thinking skills, logic. It'll keep their brains moving. So I think that'll be a great addition. And then my oldest daughter will be doing an additional grammar with Fix It Book 1, Fix It Grammar. She'll do that 4 times a week based on their schedule. And then my youngest, something additional I've added since posting my curriculum picks, she will be doing the mini poems from Blossom and Root Level 1, because I already own those, and my oldest loved that. She still loves doing them right now. She's doing Level 2 mini poems from Blossom and Root, but if my youngest doesn't like them, we'll remove them, but I think it might be something fun for her to do independently, but especially as her reading skills improve. But also it'll help her with grammar, vocab, just, again, there's a little bit of a critical thinking skill going on there. It's almost like a Mad Lib is the best way to explain it. And then the next elective I'm doing is with my oldest daughter. We're going to be reading American Girls, The Care and Keeping of You. I don't know if that'll last us the whole year. I have it in there as it will, but basically when we finish it, we'll just read it once a week, a little chunk of it, talk about it, and then move on. Nothing serious there. And then I have physical activity listed. The girls' sports practice for soccer. We're going to do some golf, ninja, etc. And then piano, they'll do 1 lesson each per week, but I want them to practice on their own 3 times per week, which I haven't had a problem with them doing on their own without me telling to this year, so I think that'll be totally fine. Okay, let's move on. Again, I'm not going to do a high-level deep dive. I'm going to show you term 2 and term 3, how I've scheduled them. I'm going to basically highlight anything that's changed because I don't want this to get too long, and I'm sure it is already. So again, for term 2, we're just going to switch out the American Girl. We'll be doing Caroline this time. There are no Dolores biographies from AO Year 1 that correlate with her, so we didn't do that for term 2. Continuing Story of the World. These biographies and tales, these 2 that I put here are from the Build Your Library Level 1 schedule curriculum that I'm going to be doing, so we'll be following her guides for those. Everything else is the same here. For geography, for AO Year 2, we finish up the second half of Tree in the Trail and start Seabird by Holling C. Holling. And then for science, we will start the second program that we're going to be doing from The Good and the Beautiful, Sparks and Stars. Again, 2 to 3 lessons per week. Nature study, we'll be doing term 2 from AO, which is Brooks, Rivers, and Oceans. We'll be continuing the Ambleside Online Year 1 schedule for the nature lore. Literature, we'll be doing the second book from AO Year 2, Wind in the Willows, so I just copied and pasted that schedule here for ease of use. Same with Shakespeare, AO Year 2, Term 2, we'll be following that schedule. Again, just so stories from Year 1 from Ambleside Online. Nothing's changed here with foreign language or poetry or storybook Bible. The only thing down here that's changed for our book basket is the artist changes to Fragonard. We'll be following his creations. And then the brushwork is now the handicraft that we'll be doing for term 2 and term 3. Composer is Mozart. That's changed there. And then, of course, following along with that folk song schedule from Ambleside Online. Every month it's different. During the month of December, we will just be doing our own Christmas carols that are fun to listen to. So nothing crazy there. Something to note, during December, we will stop all of this curriculum except for math and language arts starting the first week of December. But what we will do, we'll pause all that and then we'll pick it up after December. What we add on in December is we're going to do a Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So the second book, a unit study. It's so fun. It's so involved. It's just, you have to stop all other curriculum if you really want to enjoy it and immerse yourself in it. And then we will also be reading as our big literature book that month, A Christmas Carol. And then again, individual subjects completely stay the same. So moving on to term 3, finishing up year 2's schedule for our island story. We are changing the American Girl to Josephina and moving through her stories. Buffalo Bill from Delore, that biography is best suited based on what I was kind of comparing in Josephina week 4, so I scheduled it for then. We're going to be completing Story of the World Volume 1. And then Mulan Before the Sword, we're going to be following the Build Your Library schedule. The biography of Cleopatra from Diane Stanley is from Well Trained Mind. And then, so Build Your Library recommends reading Pompeii Buried Alive for these 2 chapters. I don't own that, but I do own Magic Treehouse number 13, which is Vacation Under the Volcano, which is about Pompeii. So I've just subbed that out just personally because I just don't want to use what you have, right? Also, don't spend extra money if you don't need to. So I'm just going to create my own. Maybe I'll look at her Pompeii Buried Alive questions and stuff and see if they correlate to this book too. But if not, I'll just kind of create my own stuff from there. This all stays the same. Geography, we're going to be finishing up Seabird from AO Year 2. The Good and the Beautiful, we'll be doing Wind and Waves. Again, 2 to 3 lessons per week. They're maybe 15 to 20 minutes each. They're so simple and fun. And then Nature Study will be Term 3, will be Garden, Flowers, and Weeds from AO. Nature Lore stays the same. Spanish. This is the only thing I gotta say I'm kind of unsure of. Robin Hood is the AO Year 2 third term literature read. I've heard from other moms that this is pretty tough. It's a stretch. And it also doesn't finish in year 2, or excuse me, term 3. You have to finish it over the summer because it's such a long book. If my kids are struggling with it in the first week or 2, I will cut it. I have no problems with that. We will bring it back at a later date and read it, but maybe right now with a first and a third grader, we'll see if that makes sense. So, but as of right now, I have it scheduled as AO Year 2 has scheduled. We'll see how that goes. I will keep you guys updated. And then again, Shakespeare from Year 2, Just So Stories from Year 1, poetry, Bible, our artist study changes to Bierstadt. I'm probably saying that wrong, y'all. Handicrafts, we continue with brushwork for that book, and we'll finish that at the end of this term. And then the composer is Mendelssohn. Folk songs change, of course. Now, since we will be done with school and AO schedules a folk song for June, we'll still probably do it, so I just brought it down here. And then art, and then individual subjects. So that's it. I hope this video didn't get too long. If you're still with me, thank you. But that's just this, the way it's laid out makes the most sense for my brain, but it also lets me see what I'm actually doing on a week-to-week basis. And if it's too much or too little, I can easily move things around as necessary. I do print this out and put it in my planner, but a lot of times when I am planning, I just pull up this document to easily reference rather than flipping back and forth in my planner. So that's it, guys. That's what next year looks like. There might be some tweaks I make, and if I do, I'll obviously do an updated video on that, but this is what it looks like overall for now. All right, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful or informational to you. If you have any questions about anything that I mentioned in this video, of course, always leave those down in the comments. I am happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Again, just as a reminder, I will link the document for this. It won't be an editable one. Is that a word? Editable? Yes, it is. It won't be editable. Now I'm saying it wrong. Y'all know what I'm saying. But what you can do is copy and paste it into your own document on your computer, and that way you can edit it to your own needs. And if you are new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you stick around. We do all things homeschooling over here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.